Good morning and welcome to Amiwest 2019. It's great to see all of you guys here. I would like to invite you all to come up and sit in the seat so we can hear Trevor a little bit better and get a good camera angle on everything. Yes. So we're celebrating 21 years of Amiwest this year, presenting a show every year. And it's our 22nd show because the first show was show number 1. So we've had our attendance go up and down and in and out during that whole time of that run. And we want to thank our sponsors, in particular our gold sponsor, Trevor Dickinson from A-EON Corporation. Or limited, that's right, it's limited, isn't it? Very limited, okay. And his additional funding has enabled us to get some permanent hardware this year that we didn't own. We now have a high resolution projector, not this one. This is a definitely way beyond the box projector that is on loan from Alex Perez. Thank you, Alex, wherever you are back there. And so our projector is something that we'll have throughout the year. Also was able to buy a new screen and funding a few little ins and outs that we didn't have a budget for, and now we do. Thank you, Trevor. We really appreciate it very much. Amiga on the Lake is also sponsoring this year, even though they were unable to attend due to being overwhelmed with success, which is something that we all like to hear about. They got, I think, over 300 orders for their brand new keyboard. And so the ones who ordered it assembled, they are madly assembling them every day. It takes about an hour and a half just to put it together, and then they get to test it. You know how that goes. So they're putting them together one by one. Jeff Yoder and Aaron Smith are working overtime to take care of their success. And I'd like for everybody who's in the room from Sacramento Amiga Computer Club to wave your hand. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So these are the people who support the show. There are volunteers who do whatever we ask. And we don't ever get any refusals. They just say, what do you need? Which is really great. There's about 14 of us this year who are from the club who are volunteering and running the show, and Bill's doing the broadcast as always, and Robert's doing the video. We have a complete list of that online at amiwest.net/volunteers. If you want to look, I encourage you to do that. So there's really a lot of detail that goes into the show. I'm not going to go into the watch factory. I'd be here for an hour, which you don't want to listen to. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker and our gold sponsor, Trevor Dickinson.
Oh my goodness, Amiwest, what do you do to me? I have to go home and the rest of the year I don't drink. Now you won't believe that, but it's almost true. In fact, I went for 6 weeks without a drink last year to lose weight, and I lost about, what's that in pounds, 25 pounds? So, anyway, what's my name, where do I live? Okay, right. We had a great night last night. Amiwest, I love Amiwest. I was in Gamescom a few months back, and there were nearly 400,000 people. And I was in the retro computer area on Amiga Futures stand, and it was brilliant. And I don't know if Daniel's here. No, Daniel's not here. Daniel and I were presenting all of the Amiga OS 4 machines, the A-EON machines, and it was a really good show. Daniel had all his games running, Diablo and Wings on an 81222. He had also Tower 57. It was a really, really great experience. And what was really impressed me was all the younger people and youngsters and kids that came up and played on the A1222 and the X5000. It was brilliant. All right, there's a whole selection of classic machines there as well from Amiga Future. And then we get Noise, Amiga 34, which was, it feels like yesterday. It probably was yesterday because I traveled back from Noise. I had to get back to New Zealand for work. And that was really good. And then we had about 800 people, 750, 800 people over 2 days. First day was, well, they were both busy days. 800 people, 800 individuals. Both days was about 600 people. It was mobbed. And we got a lot of interest in Amiga OS 4. as well as lots of amazing classic developments. I mean, our community is just crazy. All right, I know, we're all crazy, right? But our community is so brilliant. It sounds a bit corny, I'm so proud to be a member of our community because we just do things, just love it. Anyway, that's enough of that rubbish. A-EON, we're gold sponsor this year. I've done it a couple of times before, but when Brian says, well, we could use the extra funds because we're short of this, that, and the other, I thought we could do it this year, so that's what we did. So what's A-EON producing different this year? What's coming out? I look back at previous Amiwest presentations, and I'm sure we talked about version 2 coming up a year ago. Actually, what happened was we brought out version 1.5 of Enhancer as a free update. That was the 5th free update in less than 2.5 years. So the Enhancer team are working really, really hard and well to keep updates coming. But I am pleased to reveal now there is version 2 Enhancer is coming out, and it'll be before Christmas. So I'm told. If it doesn't come out, blame Matthew Lehman. Matthew, I'm blaming you now, right? Now, Matthew couldn't be here this year. I think he's sponsoring the show. He couldn't be here. He is sponsoring the show. So Matthew of Amiga Kit is sponsoring the show as well. He couldn't be here because he said there's 2 reasons. One is a personal reason. It's because he's called Matthew, that's the reason, but never mind. But the other reason is that's humor. I realized last night that my humor is not the same as some American humor. And I had to explain a joke several times. And Paul said, I still don't get it, right? And
I'm happy, Trevor.
Thank you. And Tony Wyatt, fantastic developer. There's Tony. Tony got it straight away. He said, that's funny. Well, it's a bit crude, but it's still funny. But Paul didn't get it. Who else didn't get it? There's a few people didn't get my humor. There you are. Mark didn't get it. Even now. And I can't repeat it because there were ladies in the room.
They would just learn to speak English.
And as Paul said, if they would just learn to speak English. Now, it's called English, right? It's not called... stop. Anyway. So I'm pleased to announce that there's a new version of... an updated version of Enhancer software coming out. It will be a paid update, but obviously if you own the earlier versions, you'll get a discount. I wasn't supplied the prices by Matthew, so I tried to get out of him. You know, sometimes when you talk to Matthew, you get information, and I tend to call him Matthew Black Hole Lehman, because nothing escapes. Everything goes in, nothing comes out. I've told he knows I call him that, so it's not really a problem, I think. Anyway, but that will have a number of interesting components. There's a few I know about. I'm not supposed to tell you, but I really do want to tell you. So if you ask me later, I will tell you over a small drink, if you buy. Right. Well, or a large drink, that's okay as well.
Will you do a joke too?
I will even try to tell a joke.
After the camera rolls.
Yes. There is an Enhancer software core you may have heard over a year ago. Again, this will be a free release of the core elements of Enhancer. It was supposed to come out a long time ago, but I'm reliably told it's going to come out now, and it actually did because Stephen Soley in the Amiwest, Stephen's over there, the Amiwest DevCon presented the Enhancer core, and he also gave out free copies to all the developers who attended.
Boxes.
Whether they wanted them or not. Whether they...
Boxes are free.
Yeah. Whether they wanted them or not, he gave them out.
Yes.
Is that true? Okay.
That's true.
Right.
Even certain individuals.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things I realized, lots of information circulates about what we're doing, what other companies are doing, but I hadn't realized just how, we had a DevCom in Cardiff with a group of developers. Alex Prez turned up. Anyone else from here? Was that? No, just Alex. And I realized that even our developers don't know what we're doing, which was really a surprise to me. So I did a little presentation to them. It was a 10 or 12 slide presentation about Amiga OS 4 graphics, where we are, what's happening with it. And I was surprised the lack of knowledge with our developers. So, actually, I was surprised I didn't know either. So that's why I did the presentation. A-EON has written for it, it pays for it, 2D drivers for Radeon HD cards, Radeon RX cards, and the latest Polaris cards. It's an ongoing work, it's very expensive, it's very time-consuming, and the developer who does it is a genius. In fact, all our developers are geniuses, to be honest, because without them we wouldn't be here. But it's a long process. It's continuing to update the Amiga One hardware, the Amiga OS 4, so it supports all the latest graphics cards. Now, I've seen written on the forums that A-EON's machines don't support many graphics cards. I want to say, sorry, I didn't say it. I didn't say what I wanted to say. It supports literally dozens and dozens and dozens of graphics cards.
650.
Thank you. A lot. And if you ever tested them, and I know some of us have, Michael Salcido's here, he has probably about 4 or 5 Polaris cards. It supports a lot of cards, right? Warp 3D SAI and Warp 3D Nova, obviously done by Hans de Ruyter, paid by us. Without Hans's work, we would be in the dark ages. And that's no understatement. OpenGL ES2, we pay Daniel Musner. Is Daniel here? No, he's not here at the moment. And all the OpenGL ES2 work is due to Daniel and his skills. We have really energetic, active, who just churn through work. We have people that do that, who are developers, who are not paid, they do it voluntarily. People like Casey, I always thought that was Cas1E, but it's Casey, someone told me. So, that's Roman Cargan, he does GLAS4, who know PowerPC in France does EGL wrap. So what does it all mean? They allow a lot of games to be ported to the Amiga. You know, games that are on other systems, open source games that have been open sourced. And it gives us a lot more, if you're a game player, I'm not particularly a game player, but a lot of people like to play games and like to play games on the Amiga. But what does it really mean? EGL wrap requires OpenGL ES2, as does GL4ES. And OpenGL ES2 requires Warp 3D Nova. So without that building blocks, we wouldn't be doing anything that's happening at the moment. Right. You probably, well, some of you might know that at Amiga 34, I announced the upcoming release of finally of the Amiga One A1222, known as Table. Yeah. And people ask me, why haven't you released it? The hardware was ready about 4 years ago, and for various reasons, it's just not come to fruition. We have about 50 beta test machines out there. There's a new determined effort by Hyperion to complete the ISO, and thanks to the work of Tony Wyatt, who's here, over there, we have our first ISO update for quite some time, and I expect to see a number of ISOs now coming out regularly as we go towards production of the machine. And I'm really pleased that Tony's doing the work. Thank you, Tony. Without people like Tony Wyatt, who give their time and experience and effort free, they do it because they want to, they do it because they're Amigans, they don't care who owns what, they don't care about IP, they don't care about trademarks, they just care about keeping this operating system updated and working on it. And, we need more people like Tony. So at Gamescom, there are pictures from Gamescom. I was amazed to see a lot of young kids, both male and female, coming playing with the machines. There was a queue of these are both A1222s. And if anyone knows Daniel, he's the guy who's about 7 feet tall. He's got bright fluorescent top, which he bought here last year. He likes very bright colors, as you can see. Lime greens. Oops, do not stare into the beam. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, sure. So yeah, Daniel had his X5000 and his A1222 at Gamescom, and it was great seeing the queue of people, especially on the X5000. He was playing he had 8 people playing Atomic Bomberman, a game he ported from the PC, and they were lined up all the time wanting to play it, all ages, mainly young. Naturally, I didn't play it because I wasn't very good. So, what is this new A1222 we're going to bring out? I'm calling it the Early Adopter Edition. I don't want to call it Early Bird because that has connotations. I couldn't call it First Contact because I used that before. I thought, what work can I do? Amigans are early adopters. So it's an early adopter edition. It will be released at the price of around $450. It will include the updated table motherboard. What does that mean? Why is there an updated table motherboard? Does it mean the other one doesn't work? No, because it was released so long ago, a few components of the board are being replaced because they're obsolete. Minor components, but nevertheless they've got to be replaced. And so when we respin the board, we want to make sure that everything works with these minor component changes. So we'll build 5 boards, make sure they work. I'm sure they will, but we'll make sure they work. Then we will produce the full early adopter run, and at the low price, and it is a low price of $450, because any updates for Amiga OS or drivers, they will come out when they're available. If they're not available in the time when the board's shipped. So for what's more expensive than US dollars? There will be a special Canadian price. We'll make it, what, $750? Is that right?
That's about the exchange.
Yeah. It will come with an OS4 license supplied by Hyperion, and Hyperion are really focused on producing this now, which is really good. It will be fully compatible with the Enhancer 2 software, which I mentioned earlier, and you will have access, whoever pre-orders, will have access to the regular file and driver updates. That is the intention. So we will produce, I haven't decided yet, even now, whether it's just pre-order on the list, although I've got about 80 Polish Amigans who want to order now. They've been badgering me for a few months. So, it will be a limited run, probably 100, just for the early adopter. After that, it'll be full manufacturing, and that price will be higher because if we want to keep making them, we actually got to make a little money as well. So Tony Wyatt has been appointed by Hyperion Entertainment to create updated ISOs for the table. Actually, and Entertainment's going to be doing it for all of the Amiga One systems. And that includes the X5000, which still says pre-release, and the X5040, which is actually, once Tony does the ISO for that, we can start selling it, to be honest, because it's ready. So you expect to see news about the X5040 in the near future. Stephen Soley is supervising the Exec SG updates, and you'll learn more about that today. And I'll make a statement on Exec SG because I've seen so many crazy things on the forums about Exec SG. So later on in this presentation, I'll do that. Now, where's Bill when you need him? Bill, where are you? Oh, there he is. Bill gives me apple juice all day long. So parts have been ordered for the early adopter system, and I just can't wait for it to get out because it needs to get out there. I'm pleased to, next year is the 35th anniversary of the Amiga, and anyone that was at the Computer History Museum in 2015, I mean, we owe a debt of gratitude to Bill and his team because Bill almost died over that. But he almost bit off too much. But he delivered. It was the best show I've been to in the world ever, anything I've been to. It was so emotional, it was brilliant. And at that show, you remember Viva Amiga was first shown at the after dinner, at the banquet night. And it was shown to a group of about, I don't know, 450, 500 people, maybe. And of those, about a third were actually High-Toro or ex-Commodore people. And I was at a table with Adam Spring. Adam's here today. And we were at a table with about 10 or 11 High-Toro people. And they were in tears watching that film. And it was very emotional for me watching it, because watching them being emotional. Well, I'm pleased to announce that Zach Weddington is creating a remix of that movie for Amiga 35, whatever happens in Amiga 35. I'm funding it, and it's going to be a 2-hour movie. There'll be a remix, more interviews, more information, from that original movie. So I always thought Viva Amiga was too short, an hour, so you're going to see a 2-hour version coming out. And good news is, I'll have the distribution rights, which is even better. Now that's a joke. And you laughed! So you do have a sense of humor. I'm also pleased to announce the Amiga One X5000 Plus edition. Now Matthew didn't want me to put some of this information in, so I'm sorry, Matthew. It's too late. You can't reply to me half an hour before I start my presentation and say, please change that. So I didn't. Right? I heard that laugh. So it's a major revision of the Amiga One X5000. You're going to see a new audio driver with a modern PCIe sound card. Modern and available and powerful, and it works really well. No clicks or pops or problems. This slot, that slot, it works. Right? You're going to see a new, you're going to see the Polaris graphics card and driver. So it'll support the latest cards. You're also going to see a new Wi-Fi card and driver. Right. Yeah. Work commissioned by A-EON to create a new Wi-Fi driver that really works and works on the X5000. I suppose other machines as well. It's going to be supplied with Enhancer 2 software. There's so many numerous customer upgrade options, I can't even mention them. And there's some really nice stuff I have mentioned. I promised I would. I took it out. I took that out. Actually, I took it out yesterday before he didn't reply, because I knew he wouldn't want to. Right, a statement about ExecSG. Right, ExecSG was developed and was owned by the Frieden brothers, Thomas and Hans-Jörg Frieden. And they licensed it to Hyperion Entertainment under a non-exclusive, object code only license, non-exclusive. Which surprised me, to be honest, but that's what it is. I purchased the whole of ExecSG, all the IP, quite some time ago, to be honest, and renegotiated that license with Hyperion. So Hyperion still have a non-exclusive object code license, and they have an option to buy it back from me in the future, should they wish to do so. Right. Steve Soley has been appointed, volunteered, put his hand up.
I don't remember volunteering.
Yeah, I know. I was being nice.
Volunteered, you shut up.
What was it? Noted, Stephen? Stephen is the ExecSG team lead. He's building a support team to drive the future development of ExecSG, and that means really improving the performance of ExecSG and everything around it. But why is it there? It's there for OS4. I mean, it's ExecSG without Amiga OS4 is just ExecSG. It needs Amiga OS4. So working very closely with Hyperion developers, putting a team together of developers. He's got 5 or 6. He'll talk about later. I don't want to steal his thunder. But I just want to say that I'm really, really pleased that Steve is taking the challenge. And it is a challenge of putting a team together for ExecSG and driving that forward. We need to drive Amiga OS4 forward. And ExecSG is not owned or controlled by A-EON Technology. It's owned by me. I might be part of A-EON Technology, but it's not owned by A-EON Technology. It's nothing to do with A-EON Technology. It is Trevor Dickinson. Now, is that clear? Right, thank you. Last night, I must have drunk too much last night, okay? Now, there's a big, hopefully you can photograph that, and I got in front of the thing again, sorry. Sorry. There's M68K support on GCC compiler is really under threat. There's a new GCC compiler coming out, and the M68K support is going to be dropped. So we have actually one of our, he's not really a beta tester, but he's the guy that supports Debian Linux, the SPE version of Debian Linux. And he has a couple of table boards which have been running, well, they were running 24/7, just building Linux, right? Debian. He contacted me and said, look, we're going to lose M68 support in GCC compiler. So it means in the future, we will not be able to compile anything for 6800, 68,000 software. Done, finished. And I thought, oh, that's bad. And then he said, Alex Perez has already donated generously to the fundraising. We need to raise so much money to pay a developer to do the work. And I said, okay, I'll promote that on A-EON's web pages and I'll put it in my blog. That was 2 days before I left to come to Amiwest, and of course, you come to Amiwest and you forget who your name is, right? I don't know why. I think I blame Paul. He snores. Actually, I think we both snore, but that's all right. Anyway, last night, Alex reminded me that we need to raise this money. So I stupidly says, look, I'm sure we can raise, how much is left? And I think there was, I won't say how much, because I still want you to donate, right? He said, if we can raise that money, they can pay a developer to make sure that M68K stays in the compiler, and we can support it going forward, which is really important for any classic Amiga stuff, any future development of Amiga code, classic Amiga code. So I said, okay, well, look, if people can put the money down now, I started with $10, went up to 20 or 30, then we can cover it. I'm sure we, as a group, can cover the cost, and I'll cover any shortfalls. Some idiot put $20 down, so that was it. I was stuck. So, but I'm pleased to announce that just the donations from last night, I think we got about $450. So we are going to make up. Amiwest donated $450. I'm going to make sure we donate the balance, so there's enough money so we can get that developer working on the M68K compiler. So everyone who. So everyone who donated last night, thank you very much. It was really, you bastards. Oh. Sorry, that was a very bad word. So thank you for donating. You know, it's great that, you know, a small community like ours can still, you know, put their hands in the pockets and find the means. And thanks to Alex for bringing it up last night. Thank you, Alex. I've emailed Adrian and said that we have Amiwest has raised the money and will make sure you get to your minimum amount to pay the developer. So I emailed him this morning. So that's really good news. Thank you very much. So after that very short and strange presentation, any questions? Don't leave me standing here, please. Ask me a question.
What was your first Amiga?
But-
I mean, Trevor, repeat the question.
What was my first Amiga? Well, actually, to be honest, my first Amiga wasn't an Amiga. Stupid answer. It was a Commodore PET. It was a Commodore PET. You know, then a Commodore 64, then a Commodore 128. And if you know me, you'll know I lived in Texas for a while, hence my accent. Y'all. See, that's a joke and you laugh. See, I don't understand this humor. Right, anyway, so when I was in Texas during a very violent thunderstorm, my 128 blew up. The house got struck by lightning, it came in through the phone line and damaged the machine. And it was right off. So with insurance check, I thought, what is this Amiga computer? I've heard a lot about this Amiga. I say that because every time I come to the States, I say, look, I'm going to a retro computer conference. Yeah. Where? Sacramento. Sacramento. Yeah. What is it? It's the Amiga computer. What's an Amiga? So yes, so with the insurance check, I bought an Amiga 2000. There you are. With a bridge board, sorry. I found out very quickly that the PCs were rubbish. I mean, the bridge board was equivalent to the PC of the day, and it was utterly useless. Although I could run Lotus 123. Still useless. Right. So my first Amiga was Amiga 2000. Ugly, really ugly, but oh so expandable. Yeah. Kevin.
Production timetables, delivery timetables, you guys have them for the table.
You always ask the most difficult questions.
I always ask you that. Repeat the question.
What is the anticipated? Can I put lots of weasel words in? What's the anticipated delivery time for the A1222? The Amiga One A1222. It is an Amiga One, in case anyone's thinking it's not an Amiga One. Matthew, it's an Amiga One. The 5 boards will be built actually in the UK by the main manufacturing company. Once they're approved, we'll order the parts for all the boards, right? But 5 will be manufactured in the UK to make sure all's okay. And then after that, they'll go to their subsidiary in Eastern Europe because it's less expensive. We're looking at the timing is 12 to 16 weeks for the first manufacturing, and then with a slight delay doing the 5 boards and the balance. So unfortunately, not before Christmas, but
Or can we order before Christmas?
well, that's what I want to. One thing I have to agree with Matthew on this. Sometime in the Amiga world, we've had so many disappointments with people not delivering and taking money and promising things. He never wants to take pre-orders in terms of cash, but we might. I'm trying to convince him that we should, because one, it makes us do it. It makes us, we have an imperative and a demand, and we're, I won't say forced to do it, but it makes you do things. Sometimes you have to set, goals, and you have to achieve that, strive for those goals. If you don't, you just sit on your hands all the time. So I think that we should actually take a deposit, a small deposit, and actually take pre-orders. However, we could do a pre-order list. I have already got an indication from the Polish guys who've been chasing me up for the last year or so. They've got about 80 people on their list. When it comes down to it, maybe only 40, but it doesn't matter. We have demand for it. So that's my intention. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Good.
Hey,
Yeah.
Trevor. So, we had a big event in Germany recently. Sort of the numbers are cropping up for that one. Do you think we could ever get something like that going in America at all?
Well,
Repeat the question.
the question was, with the attendance we get at the German shows in Neuss, Amiga 30, 32, 34, why can't we achieve that in the US? And I'd love to see that in the US. When I speak to Bill Bazzari and Brian Deneen about the attendance at Amiwest in the past, knowing what I know about the show, this show is small and perfectly formed. And of course, we stream to the world, which is great. So we have people around the world viewing the presentations, lectures. But actually, you have to come to Amiwest to really experience it. It is probably one of the friendliest shows you'll ever go to. You can have. It's really good to be among like-minded people and talk about Amiga and Amiga history. And you get people like Ron Nicholson, who came yesterday. I would like to see more of the original developers come to our show and actually promote it. But I think Brian and Bill are working hard to think, how do we get bigger attendances at Amiwest? But having said that, Amiga 30 in 2015, we had how many people at that show? I mean, it was amazing. Computer History Museum. It was brilliant. It was a real community event. Tell me what other computer in the world has actually done that. A community-driven event at the Computer History Museum in the state, in the country that developed a computer. It was fantastic. We should be able to do that. We should be able to get more people. But it takes a lot. Without the work of people like Marcus in Germany, Bill Bazzari, there would be no shows, because it takes someone to stand up, do the work, and bring the people together. And it is a very, very difficult and aging process, as Bill will tell you. And, if you want to get divorced, or potentially get divorced, try and run an Amiga show. But yeah, so I'd love to see more people. How do we do it? Brian and Bill are thinking about ways to do that.
Trevor, so can you comment more on the new drivers for the 5,000 plus will be available for 5,000 users?
Of course they will. All you got to do is buy Enhancer 2 package. Yeah, it'll all be there.
And there's a couple questions on the internet. We'll save the exact SG question for tomorrow. Is Hans actively working on bug fixes for the Radeon?
Oh, yeah.
Repeat the question.
Is Hans de Ruyter working on bug fixes for the Radeon Warp 3D, Nova, and the like? Yes, he is. In fact, what we've done is kind of a stop. Right, Hans, next 2 months, all you're doing is working on bug fixes. So yes. And I think I know who asked that question. I've already told him that. So.
You can't lie. So there's an anonymous statement around the Tabor Mark II. With the Polaris, will we see overlay support?
Yeah, with Tabor Mark II, will we see overlay support in Polaris? We won't need it. I'm not saying anymore. Okay? We won't need it.
Heard here first. What all happens?
Yes.
The Wi-Fi and sound card for the Plus, those also will be available?
Yeah.
separate to buy as
Yes,
a
of
case?
course. If you want to,
Repeat the question.
with the Amiga One X5000 Plus, will the Wi-Fi and sound cards be available for other users? Yes. Yes, you can be able to buy those. Yeah.
Well, we need to wrap up this.
With the upcoming release of the 1222 and the 5000 plus, what are your thoughts or A-EON's thoughts on partnerships for cases? Are you going to keep that totally separate? Is that going to be integrated?
With the X5000 Plus, the case has already been selected, and it'll be a boat. I'll have a bowling ball motif as usual. With A1222, that's a good question because I've never seen a case I really like. Steve Jones's project, the A1500 project, I bought one. I actually pledged on that one because I wanted a case for my table. I've got it in a black case at the moment. I wanted something that's more Amiga-like. But that's quite an expensive case, to be honest. I mean, it's getting towards the price of the board itself. So it's an interesting question, and I can't answer that at the moment. You know, not because I don't want to. Just I really can't. Yeah. One last question from Paul.
Repeat the question.
Yes.
When will A-EON do a real Amiga laptop? Sorry, had to ask it.
The question was, and he's not sorry, when will A-EON produce an Amiga laptop? And the answer is, well, Bill and where is he? Ken Lester and Pat Wall and Jan tried to produce a classic laptop, and it's called Alice. And there's still some over there. And I'm sure Alex will sell you an Alice laptop if you want one. I've got my Alice with me. And if you don't know what Alice is, it's either Amiga or A, but an Amiga laptop incorporating a classic experience, Alice. And it runs, obviously it runs under emulation, but it runs OS4, it runs classic Amiga, and it runs, if you want it, Windows and Linux. But it runs it as native. You feel like you're in a native system. And if you haven't used it, the rabbit hole feature is really cool, because then you can run programs like LibreOffice, Firefox, any Linux program, but it runs on the Amiga desktop, the workbench. So that's great. It's not a PowerPC laptop. But I think with some of the developments in hardware and what I know Steve wants to do in software, I think we'll be seeing other options for ways of giving us our Amiga OS 4 fix. And if you want any more answer to those questions, ask Steve over a quiet drink.
One last question.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw it out there.
Sure, thank you.
Do you have an update on LibreOffice?
All right, LibreOffice. There's two things on LibreOffice. It's been a hell of a long project. It's been a very expensive project, but it was done for a number of reasons. It was done to create an office package for Amiga OS 4. Some beta versions are coming out. We have some people bug testing at the moment. I think LD's one, and others. We need to resolve a small issue with to increase the beta test pool because they need access to one file, which is not released to the general public, but we need that to go with the package, so I need to resolve that. I only found out that yesterday that's still not been resolved. So I need to resolve that with Timothy DeGroot at Hyperion, and then we'll be able to do a wider beta test pool. But it is being beta tested. It's quite slow on slower machines at the moment. I hope that the speed will improve. Is it usable? I didn't want to demo at this show because it's very buggy. It crashes a lot. But it's there. People have used it. They're testing it. We need more testers now. So, hope that answers the question.
Okay, so
Thank you very much.
There you go. Perfect. Good. Good to go. We've been told that if we wander outside the mic box that we'll explode. So that's why we're kind of crowding in here in the corner so that we don't explode. Well, it's a good thing you didn't. It's a very good thing you didn't. We have hard copies of the show schedule right there on the Welcome to Amiwest table. It's also online at amiwest.net/schedule 2019. And our next presentation will be a shorter presentation by Stephen Soley at 12:30. And then we have it scheduled for another longer presentation tomorrow because we know you'll have questions. One of the points behind trying to shorten up our presentations a little bit is to generate some conversation at sponsor and exhibitor tables. So please, if you have more questions of Trevor before he escapes, tie him down and ask him your question. So thanks for your time and attention right now, and we'll see you back here at 12:30. By the way, we will have pizza for lunch here, sponsored by A-EON, on the show floor, so pizza for everybody for free. And you don't have to wander for lunch. Thank you, Trevor. So we will see you for lunch and around the tables and wherever you want to see stuff. Wanted to mention some of our other exhibitors. Muck, I don't know, what did you guys bring this year besides the Exec SG?
At 12:22.
Oh, brought a 1222. Okay, so you can see it at 1222 in action at the Muck table. Be sure to see Doug Compton's table back there with 10 Mark. And also the SAC table. Everything that you see spread out there is for sale cheap. And I mean really cheap. We're trying to create storage space in our storage area and reduce it or eliminate it. So please visit the SAC table and buy something. Infocessories, if you're not familiar with Rebel, there's a version there that you can buy for $5 and take home and look at and use. Scripting language that you can build applications with. Don't have to learn C. So that's kind of a sweet deal too. And also at that table there will be classic Amiga accessories for sale. We got joysticks, A1000 keyboards, new old stock A1000 mice, and an Amiga 500 and an Amiga 1000 for sale. So that have been cleaned and tested and work perfectly. So visit that table as well, and have a good morning. We'll see you back here at 12:30.